Our final witness is Jessica Morell. Jessica is a military and veteran advocate, and she's a chaplain candidate in the Arizona National Guard. Jessica.
Good afternoon and good evening. When I was a little girl, my sister and I spent our summers with our grandmother in Tucson, Arizona. My grandmother was a retired nurse and volunteered in the hospital chapel. Every week, we rode the city bus to St. Mary's Hospital so she could prepare the chapel for Mass and assist as a Eucharistic minister. It was during these summers where I learned how to pray the rosary, witness her service to the Lord, and experience her devotion to our Catholic Church. She had so much reverence and love that my own faith began to grow. Being Catholic became a part of the fabric of my identity during those summer months that continues to this day. I enlisted in the Army in 1997 and I served for 8 years. After I got out of the military, I volunteered with a nonprofit organization that focused on holistic therapy for veterans. During this time, I heard heartbreaking stories from veterans all around the United States who experienced trauma while in service to our country. Post-traumatic stress, moral injury, and military sexual trauma are deep hurts that have radically changed the course of so many service members' lives. It was during this time of volunteering that God planted the seed of ministry, specifically spiritual support to women and men who are survivors of sexual harassment and assault while in service. I became involved with a program at the Catholic Crozier House in my local area that offered a crosswalk at their chapel. It is their response to walk with veterans who are healing. The crosswalk is built upon the Catholic devotion of the Stations of the Cross and allows veterans to identify with Jesus in his passion so as to receive hope and healing from connecting their sorrows with his. I find this sacred work to be necessary to address many of the unmet needs our veterans face post-service. I have since re-enlisted in the Army as a chaplain candidate, and I'm discerning how I can bring Christ's healing to so many who suffer not only post-service, but during their time on active duty. If the space is created for women to be ordained as deacons, I see a significant opportunity for women like myself, women who feel called to minister to the spiritual needs of our women and men in uniform, to offer our unique gifts to touch suffering with hope. Far too often, both women and men have shared with me that the need they had when the trauma first occurred to have a woman chaplain they could turn to. Currently, female chaplains make up less than 6% of our military chaplain corps. This creates an enormous gap for service members to have access to a female chaplain. If women could be ordained as deacons, the initial steps could be presented to the Archbishop of Military Services to open up the possibility of having ordained Catholic women be endorsed by the Catholic Church to help fill the critical shortage of Catholic spirituality in our armed forces. As it stands today, in order for me to pursue what feels like sacred work, a holy calling to serve my brothers and sisters as chaplains in the military, there is not a formal pathway for me unless I leave the Catholic Church and pursue ordination with another branch in the Christian tradition. I am seen as potentially disobedient to the tradition that is my home. As I seek to obey the call of God to serve and minister in a way that is accessible and visible as a chaplain for my brothers and sisters in uniform. Thank you.
And the first shall be last, and our eyes are